The Gist with Chacha on Samchat TV, and it's a beautiful Wednesday once again, and I am very elated to come your way with The Gist with Chacha. Today on the show, I am going to interview an iconic artist coming all the way from the Caribbean. Before we get to unravel who he is, let us go for this quick breather. But before we do that, just remember that this show is brought to you by La Glitz Jewelry and Broots Fashion. Let us take this quick commercial break and we'll be right back. Welcome back from that short breather. I am having here on the Gist with Chacha Taj Weekes. You're looking great.
I'm trying to look as good as you. Yes.
That's great to know. So how has Ghana been so far?
Wow. Complex.
You've had some wache to, comfort you.
Yeah, I've had wache and fufu and a couple of things, but
great.
It's been a hell of a ride. It's been a hell of a ride. Yeah. We've had a wonderful time. We accomplished what we set off to accomplish, and that was planting a seed.
Okay.
And we planted the seed, so now what we have to do is water it and watch it grow.
Yeah. That is great. Yeah. You grew up actually your whole life at the Caribbean. How was your childhood like growing up in the Caribbean? How was it like?
It's very African, I tell people my time in the Caribbean was, I like to see it as an 83 and sunshine life, 83 degrees and sunshine all the time. So there was a level of freedom growing up. I was the last of 10 children. I would get up in the morning, run around, go to the beach, come back. It was just a free life. It's changed quite a bit. The complexities of life have seeped their way into the Caribbean, and it's not as simple as it used to be. But it was an absolutely beautiful and free life that I feel sad at times that my children won't get to have it as well. But
I see. So what were some of your perceptions, while growing up? Your perceptions about Africa, coming home?
Well, when I was a little child, it seemed like a very distant place. I guess the colonizers had painted the picture the way they wanted to paint it, that people were walking around in grass skirts and killing one another with spears. That was the perception. But when the Rastafarian movement moved into the Caribbean, the mindset of a lot of us changed. We realized that where we are and what we were thinking was not of our doing, and that there was a power greater than the power of ourselves that was doing it. So when you come to the continent, you realize the power of propaganda and that everything you were told is a lie. So I'm happy I'm here.
You're happy?
I'm happy I'm here to change the perception in my head and try to change the perception for the other people who have not been here as yet.
When did you first come to Ghana? I know Hands Across Africa, coming for Hands Across Africa isn't actually the first time you came to Ghana, but you came before. When was that? I
was here in September of last year. I came to do a festival. I was invited to do a festival. And I figured if I was coming, I needed to bring a gift with me. So we brought 5,000 pairs of shoes with us.
Okay.
And that was my introduction to Ghana. But when we left, we realized that we needed to come back. So we came back this time around. Yeah.
Okay, so I want you to talk to us about your brand, Adowa. Interestingly, it actually is similar to the Akan dance. Okay, how do you pronounce it, and what is the inspiration behind that name?
Well, it's funny, in Ethiopia there's an Adowa.
Oh.
Right? Sometimes with the O, sometimes without the O. So it'd be ADWA, ADOWA. But I found it's a dance here. But in Ethiopia, where we got the name from, it was the Battle of Adowa.
Okay.
It's a battle between Mussolini, battle of 1896, where the Italians came to fight the Ethiopians, and the Ethiopians beat them back with sticks and stones and the Ark of the Covenant. So it's a victorious battle, and every Rastaman know about it. So when we were naming the band, we wanted the band to be something that was victorious, so we call it Adowa.
Okay. Okay. I want to find out, you know, the outreach, the foundation, you are humanitarian, doing very well, and interestingly, even your first visit to Ghana, you decided to impact into the society. They often cry, the outreach, what is it about?
Well, you know, in 2008, I wrote an album called The Item, and there was a song on there called The Orphans Cry.
Okay.
And I was invited to the UN to shine by a wonderful woman, Dr. White, who has since passed on, who asked me if I'd be willing to shine my little spotlight on the Caribbean. Because usually when people think of the Caribbean, they think of rum and coconut water and all-inclusive beaches, but they don't focus on our maladies, on our shortcomings, on our issues. So we took that on, and we formalized the Orphan Cry outreach, and with a mandate of taking care of underprivileged and at-risk children in the Caribbean. And that's what we've done ever since. You know, so everywhere we go, our issue is always trying to help the children out as much as we can. You know, through sports and enrichment programs and whatever else we can do to help them.
Okay. So the Hands Across Africa, there was a mega event that happened at the National Theatre, you know, loopholes and all of that, but it was great. I want you to talk to us about the initiative of Hands Across Africa. What is it about? Well,
Hands Across Africa basically follows up on the idea of the Caribbean Africa Summit, of bringing the diaspora and the continent together. Okay. And basically that's all we try to do. We try to foster collaboration, build a bridge of brotherhood, and try to bring all the ideas that were written out or spoken about in that summit, but actually actualize it. Because governments do a lot of talking, yes, but it's the people who have to make the change. And we were just the people, you know, we were the catalysts. We came to plant a seed, and that's what we came to do. And we will be back to watch that tree grow, because it's about time. It's about time. It's long overdue. We've been talking about it a lot. And also as a reggae musicians have spoken a lot about Africa. And I didn't want to talk anymore. I wanted to do something. You know, because talk is cheap. You know, we can sing about Africa forever. But did we leave a tea bag on the continent? Did we change a life? Not just in the sense of people getting up and dance or thinking about the words that we said, but actual things that change lives, you know, physical things, you know, tangible things. And that's what Hands Across Africa is trying to do, is to make tangible change to the people on the continent. That's why we're going through different countries and trying to share that mindset about, you know, coming together. So that's what we're trying to do.
So that is what we are trying to do. We are going to go for a quick breather, and we will be right back. Welcome back from that short commercial break. My name still remains Charity Keswa Frimpong, and I am still having here with me Taj Weekes. We are going to talk about Hands Across Africa. It happened at the National Theatre on the 23rd of July. How did you go?
Not as well as we wanted it to. There were a couple of challenges we had to deal with. We had initially set off to do the National Stadium. We had lots of issues with the National Stadium. Issues I'll talk about at another time, you know. But one of the main issues that showed up 9 days before was the impending weather. We were told that the possibility of massive rain would throw off what it is that we were trying to do. So we decided to switch to the National Theatre. We had sold a good few thousand tickets at the stadium, which we had to refund all. Because when we moved to the National Theatre, we had to change the price. It was 50 CDs at the stadium, but 150 was the lowest price at the National Theatre. So we could not have honored any of the tickets simply because more tickets were bought than the capacity at the National Theatre. So we would have to pick and choose who it is that we were giving the money back. So we gave all, I think, over 5,000 refunds. And then the price at the National Theatre with the time issues threw it off balance a little bit. But, you know, what was important is that we accomplished what we set off to do. And the people we said who were coming came, you know. And above and beyond all of this, it was necessary to pull it off. So we pulled it off. And then we'll pull it off again. But we're prepared for the hitches this time around. You know, Ghana is a unique place in that a lot of the budget got caught up by media because we didn't experience that anyplace else in the world. You know, that I've never experienced, and it was unique. And we don't want to put Ghana's business out in public, but that was one of the issues that we had to deal with.
Okay.
But we're prepared.
Yeah,
We know how it works. We understand the nuances of doing business in Ghana, and we're not deterred. We're not disheartened, but we will be back and we will do it again.
Great. So you are not disheartened, although the first one didn't really go as planned, and you intend to go to other African countries. What inspires you in life to keep on?
I don't know. If I had the answer for that, I would have, you know, put it in a bottle and sold it to people. But I don't know what it is. You know, I tell people you don't choose charity. Charity chooses you. You know, there's an energy and a life force that you don't truly understand. Why it is that you give up everything you have to help other people. It's you know, some people say it's a calling. I don't know what it is, but it is what it is, and we'll keep on keeping on regardless. Yeah.
So in the next, you know, few years, in the next 5 years, 3 years, where do you see Hands across Africa?
All over the continent. That is the intention. We have 8 countries planned for this year. We may not pull off all the 8 countries,
Okay.
but it's good to plan for 8 and get 3 than to plan for 1 and get none. You know,
That's
so
true.
it's an ongoing process because we're dealing with the nuances of every country. What I think we fail to realize is that in our ignorance,
Yeah.
that Africa, we still have that perception of Africa as one place. Africa is all these countries with their own governments in everywhere you go. So you have to deal with every country individually and try to understand the nuances of that country. So, you know, we had an incredible dream. It's a wonderful idea. We jumped in, but at times when we jumped in, the water wasn't so shallow, and we had to learn to swim. You know, but we're figuring it out. So I think what I see for Hands Across Africa in the next 5 years is that there's a festival in every country.
Okay.
There's a festival in every country that goes beyond just singing and dancing, but with an expo component to give back in all these countries. I think it's a catalyst for conversation. I think it's a catalyst for change. And it's a way to dispel a lot of the propaganda, you know, that we in the Caribbean and we in Africa, we're the same people. We have things that we name the same. For example, calabash in Ghana is the same thing we call it in the Caribbean, calabash.
Oh, really?
You know, so wachi is rice and peas the way we have it. It's just a different name. We just have to realize that there are forces that are trying to divide us, and that we, the people, are greater than all of that.
So in your opinion, how can Africans come together? How can we grow and, you know, build Africa together as a people?
It's a complex question, one we had an earlier conversation about. But I think before we take up arms, we have to go within. There's a line in a song of mine that says, we have to learn to seek the spaces in our thoughts to unlearn what we've been taught. And that's where we are. It's unfortunate for me, how massive a role religion plays in the psyche of the people. You know, I think we have to get beyond realizing that the God of our oppressor cannot be the God of our salvation. You know, and I think if we start there, we're going to be all right.
Interesting. All right, so before we go, is there anything that you would like to put across? I would like you to look into the camera and do that.
Love your neighbor as yourself. Love your sister and your brother as yourself. And always let your vibes be high and let your message be forever mighty.
So that is Taj Weekes I had here on the show. Before we go, we have a package for you from Broots Fashion. They are actually an Afrocentric brand, and that is what I am wearing. They're doing so well. Exclusive styles. Like if you really want to represent Africa wherever you go, they just got a lot for you. This time around, they have their accessory. They want to say a very big thank you for being on the Gist with Chacha.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes, so that was an exclusive interview with Taj Weekes on the show. Until I come your way next week, it's a bye now.